In year 6. Today in our world work on maths, we're going to think about line graphs. I was trying to think of a way of linking private, peaceful, and maths, and this felt like the kind of most genuine way that would be useful for you as readers, but also mathematicians. So thinking about line graphs, today we're going to think effectively about how we use them and why we use them. We're going to clarify what the expected presentation of them needs to be. We're going to elicit the information from line graphs, so pull out some information from line graphs. Then we're going to present some of our own data from line graphs, and then we're going to ask questions and think about questions that we could utilize or we could answer from that data. Okay, right, guys. If we had some, if we thought we were thinking about World War One, and it's London and Leeds, okay. So if we were to add some features to this, so at the moment we need to just label our line graph so we understand what needs to go where. Okay, so where would the title go? Where's the title? Where's the y-axis? Where's the x-axis? Where's the data? Where's the key? What do you think? Let's see. Yeah, just up here, daily rainfall is our title. Key is over here is our London and Leeds information. The horizontal axis is the x-axis, the vertical one, the y-axis, and the values here are the data. So that's the information that we're representing as that's the numbers that we're representing as and we're presenting now. Okay. So if we compare some rainfall here between Dublin and Paris, okay, this one's not particularly private, peaceful themed, but we have these two data points, these two sets of information, and we look at about October. So if we go to here where it's October, what's the difference? Well, we can see the red value for Paris is 20 millimeters, and the blue value for Dublin is 80 millimeters. So it's 80 subtract 20, which would be 60 millimeters. Okay, difference. Okay, so thinking about the plane, if you remember when Molly, Charlie, and Tommy were in the field and they saw the pilot land, our question here is about the speed of a plane during a journey. Okay, so in which hours did the plane travel faster than 50 miles an hour? Okay, so what we've got to look at here is 50 miles an hour. Okay, so and we can see between this point here, it's above that point. So anywhere where it's above this point, this horizontal line that my cursor is indicating here, that would be when the speed was greater than 50 miles an hour. So at points 3, so hour 3, hour 4, hour 5, and hour 6. At each of those hour points, the speed was greater than 50 miles an hour. So that probably tells us it was flying at that point. Charlie reaching a higher speed than Tommy in a training race. Which line represents Charlie's performance? So Charlie went quicker, as he would because he's the older brother, than Tommy during a training race. So which of those? Well, if this was, they must have been driving cars, very fast cars, or maybe even planes here. Okay, which of those would be the highest? Well, this is the highest, so that tells us, therefore, that the orange line represents Charlie's performance, doesn't it? Okay, the Colonel made a mistake when he plotted his line graph, so let's pretend that the Colonel was very interested in presenting data. Where do you think the mistake was made? Convince me. Okay, so this is his money selling, like we've linked that in our history. Horses being sold to the army. So this is his data. He looks at the total money of raised. So he's got two people working for him from his stables, and both of them are selling. Jacob and Sienna. Jacob and Sienna. What's the problem? What do you think the problem with this line graph? Because Jacob still seems to. There's a gap there. But what do you think? Well, Sienna's is the problem. What is it about it? It's 6 hours. Well, hang on a second, it's gone down. So unless she gave money away, that's not possible, is it? No, yeah. Because Sienna's money drops after 6 hours because the total hasn't dropped, okay? She's already got the £25. So this £25 that's represented here, she'd already got. So she couldn't just suddenly lose it. So the money always needs to keep going up for the line graph there. When we're drawing them, we've got to remember the key features of this. So with this one, for example, for week 2, we can see that we've gone up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines. Not sure why, but what we've not done is represented 6. Okay, so I think we might have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows from. Yeah, I'm not. Or have we seen it as 16? Maybe that's the problem. That should in fact be down here, shouldn't it? It should be just where my cursor is here. Okay, because a sunflower, unless we cut it down, isn't going to go down in height from week to week. Joe running in this race here. So Joe in a race, and we can see here between 15 and 20 seconds, the distance isn't listed. So therefore, what we do is if we don't have data, sometimes what we do is we do a best fit line, and then we can, from that data point, gauge what the distance would have been roughly. Okay, and here we've got a lorry that would have been servicing them on the front line, and the lorry's distance for travelled, and we can see this continuation for the amount of time it took for it to travel the distance. The x-axis here shows the time, the y-axis up here shows the distance that the lorry had travelled. Think about the trenches in France. So this is the average temperature for the trenches in France at a certain point. Okay, so we've got to complete the line graph by adding the missing elements. So what are we missing? Well, we're missing the title up here, the y-axis on the left, the x-axis on the bottom, and then we've got to label the days of the week based on our information in our table. And then we've got to utilize the information. So 10 is here, a third of the way between 9 and 12. Tuesday's value is 12, so 12. Wednesday's value is 15, Thursday's value 15, Friday's value would be 9, Saturday's value 12, and Sunday's value of 18. So we mark the points and then we draw in them with using a ruler and a pencil to draw in those points. Your independent work today, then, I've given you some information on the number of letters that were sent by Molly. So you will need to put down along the horizontal x-axis the months of the year, and then on the y-axis you'll need to put down the number of letters that were passed. And if you remember some of our data, it's always going to be going up, isn't it? Because we're not going to go down to up, down to up. This is always going to be gradually increasing the total number of letters that have gone to Molly. And you'll need to use that data and also include your title and a key if we can, please. Okay, on that grid. And then you've got 3 questions relating to that data. So in which month were the most letters sent? Why do you think no letters were sent? I should say letters, not litters, sorry, in September and October. And how many months had a total of more than 25 letters? So at what point had the aggregate become more than 25? And then what I'd like you to do is basically do the same. I kind of invented those numbers for Molly, Charlie, and Tommy. I'd like you to invent some numbers and put them in the red table relating to data from a story you've read. So maybe it's the number of chocolate bars that Willy Wonka eats. Maybe it's the number of giants that the BFG has trampled on. Maybe it's the number of prisoners that Stanley has seen in holes. Whatever it might be, or maybe Christmas Carol, something to do with the journey books, whatever it might be. Can you put some data in the red table and then can you present it as a line graph on our line graph grid below, please? Thank you for doing that, guys. I'm looking forward to seeing those tables, those line graphs, and those questions as well. Now, what I'd like you to do here is write some questions based on your data from your books that you've invented. You've not invented the books, but based on data that you've thought of relating to the books you've thought of. And that write some answers down there as well, please. Guys, thank you very much for paying attention to that. I'm looking forward to reading your mathematical bookwork. See you soon, guys. Bye-bye.